I was reading this last month or maybe the month before, and I started talking back to the text. I'm gonna go ahead and read it here real fast. This is Matthew chapter 2. Says, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem. Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star. We saw his star. We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. "In Bethlehem in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, are by no means least among the rulers of Judea, for out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. The exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I too may go and worship him." After they heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshiped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And I thought about this. Now I'm thinking about it. I wasn't thinking about a Christmas story, but I was thinking, up here where it says, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem, and then it says, "We saw his star when it rose." And I started asking, said, how do you train somebody to uh, move when they see a star? How do you train somebody to when you see a star appear, you need to go? Like, how did they know what kind of star to be looking for amongst all the stars in the sky? Like, what kind of training did they have so that they would be disciplined enough to leave and follow a star? I mean, we're talking 2,000 years ago. Who trained them to be looking for the star? I mean, you think about it, you got to train somebody, and you got to teach somebody why they even want to respond to this star appearing. The Bible don't give a lot of details about a lot of things, but I thought it was fascinating that these people they saw a star and responded. Not only did they respond, they followed it. They knew where to go. And then, it come down here. And then we know that before they took off on their travels, look what it says. They says right there, it said, then they opened their gifts. Back in verse 11. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So before they left wherever they were from originally, they brought with them gold, frankincense, and myrrh to give. Why would you pack your bags full of gold, frankincense, and myrrh after you see a star in the sky? What had they been trained, or what had they been told about this star How could they have known before it happened? And even if you look here, because I was just reading this right before I recorded this. Look here in verse 3. When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When King Herod had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. In Bethlehem in Judea. Now, none of these people were looking for him. These are the chief priests and teachers of the law. None of them knew about no star. None of them had the inside information that the Magi had. Now, King Herod called the people's chief priests and teachers of the law. None of them had a clue. But here's some people that don't live in Jerusalem that came from the east to Jerusalem. They were trained by somebody to respond to this star. I thought that was amazing and fascinating that somebody had prepared them and trained them to go and to be ready to take these gifts when they see a star. That might sound like, oh yeah, I read this story, but imagine today training somebody to get in their car and drive somewhere they really don't know where they're going, and go and talk to some people they don't know because they saw a star in the sky. How do you let somebody know in advance that this is significant, serious, and worth it? Man, they had to ride on their donkeys or not donkeys, but camels, or maybe donkeys or horses. They had to be prepared they had to be ready to act when they saw that star. Because it says here Jesus had already been born. They could have been on the way before he was born, but showed up after he was born. It doesn't say. But how do you get somebody to get ready to travel? I mean, how do you educate somebody? Like, how did they know to react to this star? That's what I found so fascinating when I read this and kept thinking about it over and over and over. After I read it, these people had to be disciplined to move when they saw this star appear in the sky. So that tells me that somebody had to, before the stars showed up, somebody had trained them to respond. Because we don't know if these magi, if they had been taught by other magi to respond to this star. If they had just been sitting and waiting for this star to show up so they can bring gold, frankincense, and myrrh to worship the newborn. What did he say here? Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? Somebody had to prepare them to go and worship the King of the Jews before the King of the Jews was ever born. I thought that was interesting and fascinating. And it still is today, because like I said before I recorded it, I said, look, the chief priests and teachers of the law, and even King Herod, they weren't looking for him. They didn't have no inside information. The Magi had the inside information, and they acted on that inside information and traveled. All right. Talk to you later. Love you. Jesus loves you.